What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon GO Battle League content. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some strong teams here in the Great League that you can help use to push to your next goal, whether that be Ace for the first time, Veteran, Expert, or even Legend. These teams are looking good in this meta, and I think that they could really help you guys climb up in this meta. So let's take a look at some teams here. First thing that I like to do when I take a look at teams here, I don't need to take a look at the rankings for Great League, because y'all know at this point, it's Annihilape, Cresselia, Registeel, oh boy, fun stuff. But we're going to take a look at teams here. But the first thing that I like to do when I'm looking for team ideas, if I don't have any in my head already or I don't have any inspiration from somewhere, is I like to come to this training page. If you go to PV Poke and you go to open to the training window here, this is going to be where you can go to the top performers page, and they'll have all the individual performers here and how well they're doing. You know, for example, we can see that Annihilape and Lantern they have some pretty good usage, and they're going up as far as your usage is concerned. So this is a good place to kind of see what people have been practicing with in the Great League and the simulations. But down here as well, you can also see some top teams. Now, as of recording this, it hasn't been updated because I have to record early as I'm on vacation, so I haven't had a chance to do this at the right as soon as the rankings would get posted. By now, PV Poke may have updated these, so make sure you take a look at this page before you go into the Great League here. But Greedent, Skarmory, Whiscash, Shadow being one of the top teams here in the Great League, and then you've also got some other fantastic team ideas based on what's been popular and what's been doing well. So we're going to take a look at some teams as well here. First team that we're going to take a look at here is going to be the team that I hit Legend with this season in the Great League, and I feel like this is a very strong team. We're looking at Mantine, Whiscash, and Shadow Gligar. Now, this is an ABA-ABB sort of team, but you don't necessarily want to play it as an ABB team necessarily, unless you hit like a Steel or an Electric lead, then you want to safe swap to Gligar. But otherwise, what I like to do with this team a lot is I like to actually play out a lot of leads, and you can check out the video that I posted, and there's some streams around the same time. You can check out all the games that I played with this team. I'm probably going to forget to link it to the video, so forgive me, but it'll be literally a picture of Mantine and the words Legend on the thumbnail. Pretty easy to find. It was from a few weeks ago. But this team overall, no team is going to get a good ranking on coverage unless you're like throwing the top 3 Pokemon in the whole meta, and then at that point, it might not even be anything more than just a balanced team. But this team did perform exceptionally well for me and some of my Patreon Discord members. And if you'd like to, enter that Discord, Patreon and YouTube memberships will get you in there. I know it's a paywall, yawn, but lots of great people. The community is amazing. And all this stuff, all the videos, all the teams that I go through, all my meta write-ups, everything is going to be in that Discord early, much before it hits YouTube. So if that's of value to you, consider checking it out. There's also going to be a channel for what to build for the next season when we get the news. So all good stuff in there. Meta scorecard looking like it's got pretty decent coverage on at least the top meta here. There's a lot of things on this team that, kind of, I wouldn't say a lot, but plenty of things on this team can core break. One of the big ones that I get comments about is going to be Dugong. And yes, Dugong is absolutely miserable. If you can get your Mantine on the Dugong, it's much more manageable. I have played against plenty of Dugongs, and usually I try to deal with it with Mantine and just use the rest of the team to figure it out. But overall, this team was extraordinarily strong, and I was able to hit Legend with it. I was also running Water Pulse on the Mantine when I hit Legend, but climbing, a lot of the times I was using Ice Beam. So let's take a look at another team here in the Great League and check it out. And we're going to get into the next team here. We have Lantern Double Dragon. Now, y'all know I hate Lantern, but I have seen some buzzing around this team. So if you have Lantern, Guzzlord, Goodra, you can replace Guzzlord with, something like Giratina Origin, or if you have one, or you could put in, Dragonair, some like good, strong, dragon that has, some good closing power, right? I think Guzzlord's a really good example, but I know that some people won't have one. And if you don't have Goodra, again, you can also use something like, Shadow Dragonair as your safe swap. Yeah, the Double Dragon is fairly interchangeable, but you still want to have the Double Dragon. Lantern's a pretty good Steel type answer. It actually beats Registeel, believe it or not. So this team looks pretty decent. Again, we're still getting a D for coverage, but everything else, the bulk, the safety, the consistency, everything's good grades here. And overall, this team does very well. Carbink, yeah, yawn, it's Carbink. I don't know how Carbink beats Lantern. It must be like a, Lana Moonblast sort of scenario. But we are going to see that the rest of the list here is pretty much stuff that you're never going to see in this meta. You might see in a Alolan Sandslash once in a while, but I think that Lantern can hang with that pretty well anyway. So overall, though, this team, very strong. I like the Lantern. Even if you don't have a Lantern, you can also use your Shadow for Alligators if you have them. Team absolutely smacks. I've seen a lot of good things about it on Twitter and whatnot. So give this team a go. It might do well for you. So next what we're going to do is we're going to look at the aforementioned #1 team. That's going to be Greedent, Skarmory, Whiscash. And they are using Shadow Whiscash. For me, they're interchangeable. I think that both Shadow and regular Whiscash are both incredibly strong. I have more success with the non-Shadow, but that's because I don't have a Shadow to use in the first place, so I can't really do a direct comparison until we get the Frustration event coming up at some point next season. But Greedent, being a very strong neutral lead, kind of functions in the same purpose as if you were using something like Shadow Dragonair with the Skarmory Whiscash. This is basically a, RPS backline with a strong lead that has play into a lot of things. Trailblaze Greedent has a lot of play in this meta. It's obnoxiously strong to use, and Trailblaze accelerates the damage on those body slams by a lot. This one gets slightly better coverage on the meta, but if you hit an Annihilape lead, you might have a bad time. I'm going to be honest with this team. Registeel also, I haven't seen very many Registeels, and Greedent, it was obnoxiously spammy. You could absolutely use a team effort to beat some of these things, but there's obviously every team is going to have something that does well against it, but the truth is Annihilape is the only thing on this list that I'm particularly scared of. Mandibuzz is a problem for quite a bit of this team, but overall, you could certainly try to finesse a win out of that. But the rest of the things on this list that beat this team all over, not very many of those things exist. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of Conkeldurs and Suicunes in the Great League. I don't know about you guys, but let's get a look at this next team here. And the next one we're going to have is a team that I've actually made use of before in another form. I actually used it with Deoxys instead of Annihilape back before Annihilape came out. This is an incredibly powerful team with Annihilape here. And using Alolan Sandslash and Dugong as your double ice, you're using Dugong to lure out the Poliwrath of the other fighter on the other side, and then using your Annihilape to get rid of it, and then hopefully Alolan Sandslash is able to go after that point unopposed. However, you could also run Lickitung in place of either of these two things. There's no, it's not a hard line necessary that you have to run Alolan Sandslash and Dugong. If you don't have one or either, or you just prefer to use a Lickitung, maybe you just built a Lickitung for Catch Cup and you'd like to use it, then this would be a good team to use it in as well. So this team overall here, I didn't even rate the full team yet. Hold on a minute. So also a D in coverage. Bulk, not so great, because Annihilape and Alolan Sandslash are pretty low in bulk here. If you were to put Lickitung, I imagine that would probably go up to a B, if not an A for bulk. But overall, this team is very strong. Shadow for Alligator definitely would be a problem, I would imagine, because it does have the power and just the raw damage that it has, and how quick it gets to moves. This team is a little bit, more so in the things that can beat this team do exist a little bit more. You see for Alligator, Lickitung. Lickitung only wins against Annihilape, by the way, if it lands Power Whip, so keep that in mind as you play. And everything else is kind of Sableye would do pretty well against this team, but again, everything on this team can beat these things if you apply a team effort and don't look at it just from a Sims perspective of just one matchup at a time. You definitely could team effort this, but for the most part, the team looks very solid. It performs extremely well too. I've seen it used. I've used it a couple times myself. It's a very strong team. So let's take a look at team number 5 here. I know, Lantern's on another team, but we can't, even though I hate Lantern, I'm not gonna dispose of it for a video for the sake of my hatred for it. It's a very strong Pokemon in this meta. Now, this is an ABA and ABB team, similar to the first team we looked at that I hit Legend with. This is actually a team that I saw quite a few times that kind of clapped my cheeks when I was using that team because it was ABA Electric. And Azumarill is one of those things that's safe swap, but I've seen it used with other things, just generic safe swaps like Sableye, Dragonair, other things of the sort. But Chargebug is there to be your anti-grass, as it has that bug typing with X-Scissor, very quick charging. And Lantern is Lantern. Well, it is what it is. But as Azumarill's back there to kind of bait out the grass types, or anything that doesn't want to see the Chargebug. So that's going to hopefully free up your Lantern so it doesn't get ripped apart by grass types and other things. But Azumarill also is just a very, very good Pokemon in the meta. It gets an A for bulk. We're still looking at D's for coverage because, like I said, there's no perfect team that's going to get you A's for coverage. And if it does, it's probably just a team that has a lot of things that are good, but not necessarily a cohesive, synergistic team, if you get my drift. So this team is going to do okay. I think that, you know, things like Annihilape and Cresselia, I don't think are nearly as bad as the Sims have them out to be. I also don't think Lickitung is nearly as bad as the Sims have it out to be. Those are all things that you could certainly do a team effort sort of game plan around. But like Trevenant would have a very strong time against this team. However, you don't see very many of those anymore. See maybe one every couple of days. And Lickitung, obviously, one-on-one can beat the team, but it can't beat everything all by itself, which is, you know, going to be an issue for the opponent, because if they have Annihilape anywhere on the team, this team has a lot of good neutral and positive play into Annihilape. So that's going to do it for these teams for Great League, guys. I hope that you are able to take one of these teams and hit your goals, and we are looking forward to the new season here. Going to be putting up a couple of videos next week, and I'm on vacation, so I'm pre-recording all my content. So we're going to have a video coming up about Go Fest of this year. We're going to cover all the basics as far as a PvP guide is concerned, and also, you know, maybe a shoutcast or two in the week, and then we're going to have the news for the new season. I brought my recording stuff home for vacation, so hopefully we'll be able to make a video, maybe even get a couple of streams in this coming week. So I'll be seeing you guys as soon as I see you. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.